Welcome back to The Explainer. I am so incredibly pumped you're hanging out with us today because we're doing something really fun and, honestly, kind of mind-blowing. We are going to take a story you literally grew up with, a classic childhood fable, and completely reframe it as a hardcore modern corporate real estate case study. Yep, we're diving into the Baconville real estate disruption and the attempted Pygg-Wolfe asset acquisition. It is a wild story about market disruption, totally misplaced priorities, and the ultimate defense strategy against aggressive corporate takeovers.
Okay, let's dive right into this agenda. We're going to start with Welcome to Baconville, then look at Phil's eco-aesthetic disaster, Paul's fast furniture special, and Peter's boomer spec fortress. After that, we'll break down the hostile corporate takeover, and finally wrap things up with the tax loophole trap. All right, let's get into it.
Section 1. Welcome to Baconville. Market conditions and key players. So we really need to set the scene here because the environment is everything. Baconville is this rapidly gentrifying, frankly almost dystopian real estate market right now. And look at our protagonists, the three Pygg brothers. They're basically a trio of influencers and tech-adjacent guys who barely scrape together enough capital to buy 3 tiny plots of land. They are your classic retail investors just fighting to survive. Now contrast that with our antagonist, Wolfgang Wolfe. This guy is an absolute apex predator. He's a billionaire venture capitalist and developer who rocks $5,000 turtlenecks. And Wolfe doesn't just want a nice house. He is aggressively gunning for the brothers' land so he can build aura residences. Think luxury high-rises, microgreen smoothie bars, and rent that will literally cost you 3 kidneys a month. It's a total David versus Goliath situation, but with massive real estate equity on the line.
Section 2. Phil's eco-aesthetic disaster. Analyzing asset number 1. 6 hours. Seriously, in the world of real estate development and asset protection, a 6-hour construction time is a massive, flashing neon red warning sign. But see, Phil is a lifestyle creator. He absolutely despises manual work, but he was completely desperate to film this living off the grid YouTube series. So what does he do? He hires a completely random contractor off TaskRabbit. And the total assembly time for his primary residence? Just 6 hours.
Now let's actually look at the asset profile for Phil's build. This was a prefab house made entirely of compressed organic straw and hemp. And the specs? Well, it had absolutely zero structural integrity. None. But, and hey, this is a huge but if you're a lifestyle creator, the lighting for his TikTok dances was absolutely immaculate. So, you see what's happening here. Phil entirely prioritized visual aesthetics and social media clout over actual foundational strength. He essentially built a stage set, not a fortress. And let me tell you, in a highly volatile market with billionaire sharks circling, a stage set is a massive liability.
Section 3. Paul's fast furniture special. Analyzing asset number 2.
I absolutely love this quote from the source material regarding Paul. It points out that he possessed a medium amount of ambition. I mean, doesn't that just perfectly describe a very specific demographic? Paul represents the classic hybrid tech worker. He's not entirely lazy, but he is definitely not looking to break a sweat if there's a technological shortcut he can take. He wants maximum return for medium effort, and that mindset completely dictated his real estate strategy. So Paul's workflow was entirely optimized for speed. Step 1, he orders this 3D printed modular pod made of reclaimed twigs and particle board from some trendy Swedish startup. Honestly, it basically looked like a giant IKEA nightstand. Step 2, he throws it together over a single weekend. Step 3, he fastens the entire structure using one single Allen wrench. And Step 4, with the house supposedly done, he immediately gets right back to grinding his crypto portfolio. You see, Paul optimized for total efficiency so he could focus on his digital assets. But by doing that, he built a physical asset that was incredibly vulnerable to real-world disruption.
Section 4. Peter's boomer spec fortress. Analyzing asset number 3.
All right, let's do a direct comparative analysis between those first 2 brothers and the third brother, Peter. Now, Peter is a civil engineer, and he completely ignored all the modern trends and vibes. Just look at the materials. While Phil and Paul were messing around with straw, twigs, and particle board, Peter went straight for reinforced concrete and traditional red brick. And when it comes to the labor, it's a sketchy TaskRabbit and an Allen wrench on one side versus Peter pulling 16-hour days, dealing with highly complex zoning permits, and physically laying the foundation himself. Finally, we have to talk about the vibe metric. Phil and Paul optimized for high clout and crypto grinding, right? Well, Peter's brothers ruthlessly roasted him in the group chat for being basic and missing Coachella. But here's the thing.
Peter gladly sacrificed short-term aesthetic pleasure and networking to get long-term, strictly code-compliant foundational security.
Section 5. The hostile corporate takeover, Wolfe's attack strategy.
So here comes Wolfgang Wolfe, rolling up to Baconville in his matte black electric cyber SUV, flanked by a ruthless legal team and holding a megaphone. Let's trace how this attack escalates. Phase 1 targets Phil's straw house. Wolfe demands the deed, threatening to find some obscure zoning violation and absolutely tank Phil's credit score. When Phil says no, Wolfe unleashes his PR team to launch a massive online cancel campaign. The sheer force of this social media, huffing and puffing, causes all of Phil's sponsors to drop him instantly. Bankrupt, the bank repossesses his flimsy straw house in a matter of minutes, and Phil has to flee to Paul's pod. Moving to Phase 2, Wolfe targets Paul. He demands Paul sign eminent domain paperwork, threatening to disrupt his entire supply chain. Paul refuses, so Wolfe's tech conglomerate launches a coordinated DDoS attack on Paul's smart home server and simultaneously executes a hostile corporate buyout of that particle board startup. The StickPod's digital locks completely fail, the smart roof collapses, and both brothers are forced to flee in their Yeezy slides straight to Peter's house. Which brings us to Phase 3, the brick house siege. Wolfe arrives at Peter's fortress. He huffs, he puffs, he threatens massive lawsuits, he tries to short their cryptocurrency, he even sends a fleet of delivery drones to drop cease and desist letters. But he cannot breach it. Peter's house is completely off-grid, strictly built to code, and backed by a rock-solid fixed-rate mortgage. The corporate breath of Wolfgang Wolfe literally cannot budge brick and concrete.
Section 6. The tax loophole trap. The final stand.
A stealthy late-night tax loophole audit. Okay, so deeply frustrated by those impenetrable brick walls, Wolfe decides to execute this elite financial grift. It's a classic corporate backdoor maneuver. In the context of our case study here, this is metaphorically the exact equivalent of trying to climb down the chimney to bypass the primary structural defenses. Wolfe genuinely thinks he can use complex financial and legal engineering to just slide right past Peter's reinforced concrete.
But the Pygg brothers fully anticipated this exact move. Trap activated. See, Peter didn't just invest in physical bricks, he invested heavily in financial defenses too. He hired a premier forensic accountant. Together, they prepared a scalding hot, fully audited IRS whistleblower report and placed it right in the metaphorical fireplace. So when Wolfe tried to slip through his little tax loophole, he fell face first into a massive, inescapable tax evasion lawsuit. Absolutely terrified of actual accountability and a ruined credit rating, Wolfe scrambles back up the chimney, boards his private jet, and flees to a non-extradition island. The hostile takeover is completely defeated.
After all the dust settles, the brothers move into the brick house, they split the Wi-Fi bill, and we arrive at the truly brilliant conclusion of our source material, the 2026 moral of the story. You can try to build your life out of aesthetic trends, fast furniture shortcuts, and clout, but when the multi-billionaire tech sharks finally come for you, nothing protects you quite like a boring, union-built, asset-backed brick foundation and a really, really good accountant. The ultimate takeaway here that actual substance is always going to beat pure aesthetics the second genuine pressure is applied to a system.
Which leaves us with a question I really want you to seriously think about as we wrap up this explainer today. Are your life's assets, your career, your personal finances, your skill sets, are they built on a solid brick foundation? Or are they just immaculate TikTok lighting, just waiting for a slight corporate breeze to blow them all down? It's fun to laugh at the Pygg brothers for sure, but it's actually a pretty brilliant reminder to invest your time and energy into things that actually hold structural weight. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I highly encourage you to go inspect your own foundational strategies. I'll catch you next time.